Rainier Avenue Radio.
Join the Black-owned Business Excellence for our annual symposium on Wednesday, February 1st, 2023, at the University of Washington, Tacoma, and online. With an amazing lineup of speakers, the symposium provides tools and resources to empower entrepreneurs and business owners with a focus on legacy building. The cost is $15 for in-person and free for the virtual symposium. So join us on Wednesday, February 1st at the Black-owned Business Excellence Symposium.
Hey, this is Paul Pearson. I've hosted the R&B show Star Time since the very beginning of Rainier Avenue Radio, and after years of featuring tracks from the 50s through the 80s, Star Time now plays R&B and hip-hop from the 1990s as well. A whole half-century of soul, funk, hip-hop, and more on Star Time, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. on Rainier Avenue Radio.
1, 2, get down.
What's up, big and little homies? This is Masvita Maraire, host of Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio.world, your one-stop shop for Seattle sports. We cover preps, we cover college, we cover pro, we cover it all. Huskies, Mariners, Seahawks, Garfield, South, Roosevelt, Metro, King County. This is where you want to listen to for all the sports that's happening in Seattle. Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
See a bad
Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they had to
When
say.
I think about generational wealth, I think about history. I think about the history of exploitation, what led us to today. Some people live a certain socioeconomic way, and the majority does not get to live in that same way. Perhaps they don't want to live that way. I don't know.
Generational wealth has some really strong positives and some really strong negatives. At its best, it's ways that communities can grow, find security for themselves. It's a way to make sure that your children and their children and each generation thereafter has opportunities to find joy and growth and make a difference in the world.
This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
This is Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Clean Greens Living, broadcasted live. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Clean Greens Living, broadcasted live on Rainier Avenue Radio. I am your host, Queen Bree. Thanks for joining me this Tuesday. I'm going to hop right into land announcements, and then we'll bring on our special guest today. We acknowledge the land that we are on, the traditional land of the people of Seattle, the Coast Salish, past and present, and we honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish, Suquamish, Nisqually, Snoqualmie, and Muckleshoot tribes. We also acknowledge what has happened on this land to impact the lives of our Black community due to redlining. If your family has been affected to anything due to redlining, please contact us at blackdollardays.org and tell us your story. I know that they are working on Seattle on a plan for reparations for family who was not able to pass down generational wealth to their families due to redlining and systemic oppression of Black families in our community. So please reach out to us. Please tell us your story. Clean Greens right now is signing up kids for our youth program. So if you have children between the ages of 5 to 18, please reach out to me. Let me know if you're interested in signing up for the program. It starts in May and it goes all the way until September. If you are high school students, not only will you receive it's a small stipend, but you receive community service hours that you can go towards your school or your college. So please reach out to us and let us know. We also are in our plans of planting season, crop planting. We are almost there. We have decided what we want to grow. We're super excited. If you guys have not had a chance, please go to our Instagram and complete a quick 5-minute survey and just give us a little feedback on what you think is going on in Clean Greens, think ways that we can improve if possible, produce that you want to see grown. If you want to sign up to be a volunteer, please let us know. We want to hear from you. All right. I'm so excited to have our special guest, speaker Christina Lopez, on today. She is going to be here talking to us about Words in Action, a Freedom Socialist Party that is happening this coming February. She's going to come on and talk to us about that and about the pamphlet she wrote, which is Which Way Forward for the Black Lives Matter Movement. Growing up poor in Chicana and segregated Phoenix. I hope I said this right. Lopez was inspired to activism by the Let me slow down. I'm trying to do good, y'all, and I'm over here just going crazy, 50 miles an hour. Growing up poor and Chicana in segregated Phoenix, Lopez was inspired to activism by the Black liberation struggle. Her involvement with 2 waves of Black Lives Matter and the never-ending battle against police brutality fuels her determination to find lasting solutions to discrimination and bigotry. We are going to welcome Christina on.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Is my camera on? I don't. I keep pressing.
I can't see you yet, and it sounds like you may have pushed mute.
Okay, sorry. Well, here I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I guess the camera is not working. All right. Sorry about that. But
if you can get it working, that's fine. But we can, show must go on. We're gonna get this information out.
Okay. Thank
That's
you.
what always happens when you're trying to get some good information out. Something always puts your blocking in it. So let's just move forward until we can get your screen working.
Okay.
So, Christina, so you're here to talk about the Words of Action Freedom Socialist Party, right?
Yes.
So can you tell us what's this event coming up about, and what is the Socialist Party? For those of us who don't know what the Socialist Party is, can you give us a background of who you guys are and what your mission is?
Sure. I'm with the Freedom Socialist Party. We're a socialist feminist organization that has a hall right here in Columbia City, New Freeway Hall at 5018 Rainier Avenue South, and we are socialist feminists, which means that we strive to build a socialist economy, and we feel that that's the best that we can do to improve everyone's lives. So it's coming from a Marxist perspective.
So I always hear socialists out there, and some people have fear around socialists. Can you tell us why do you think that is? And tell us why we shouldn't have fear around socialists.
Oh, yeah. I think the reason we have fear on socialism is because there's a lot of misinformation that's put out there by the mainstream press. It's also the, in the schools, they don't teach you about the Marxist perspective. You're getting, most of the schooling and education comes from the establishment, which is the bourgeoisie, and there's no way that they're going to support socialism because it's counter to their interest to get the profit and nothing but profit. For us, we feel that all the wealth that's built by all the workers should be evenly distributed, and it should be based not on somebody's profit so they can build a yacht or a big old private jet, but it should be built to improve the schools, make sure everybody has housing and healthcare and all that stuff. I mean, we live in the wealthiest country in the world, and there's no reason why we should have poverty and people living in the streets and tents. But the reason we do is because of the way the wealth is distributed.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So you're saying that socialism is when we all come together as a people and make it work for everyone and not just that 1%.
Right. We don't have anything to fear. I know that people have fear on that, but when you look at the chaos that's brought on by, for the strive for profits and all the violence and the mass incarceration, it's capitalism and the way it's going, especially destroying the world, that people should be afraid of.
Thank you for explaining that to us. I just wanted to talk about that because I know that, like, even when we talk about, soon as I was getting ready to say her name, it flew out my brain. But when we talk about socialism, people always, I wanted to talk about that and start finding ways to break that barrier so people understood exactly what it was. So thank you for explaining that. You explained it perfectly for me. So this event that you have coming up, what is the event about?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. Every year we celebrate Black History Month here because we should. And it's for our Black History Month. It's going to be in person Saturday, February 11th at 7 p.m. And it's going to be here at New Freeway Hall, 5018 Rainier Avenue South, right here in the Columbia neighborhood. What I'm going to be talking about is this new pamphlet that I wrote about which way forward for the Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm also going to highlight another pamphlet that was written by Emily Wu Yamasaki, and it's a revolutionary call for Black reparations. She is the leader of the Comrades of Color Caucus, which is basically made up of members of color from the Freedom Socialist Party and the sister organization Radical Women.
And speaking of your book, that's what we were going to talk about next. Can you tell us your pamphlet? Can you tell us about which way forward for Black Lives Matter movement? Can you tell us about that? What inspired you all to write these pamphlets?
Oh yes, thank you for the question. I was inspired to write the pamphlet because of the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests that happened 2.5 years ago. And, I was thrilled because of, the civil rights movement. I saw that, like, yes, people are going to rise up and we're going to solve things. And it was also a protest that was sparked around the world. And there was a lot of things that were gained from that protest, a lot of steps forward, but, there was also a lot of discussion and debates for solutions. I mean, now more than 2.5 years after the massive, for all the talk of reforms and all the talk of, and all the changes that were made, the police continue to kill Black people. Just last month, police in LA tasered Keenan Anderson to death. They tasered him to death. And then in Memphis, police, it's heartbreaking. They killed and brutally beat up and killed Tyree Nichols. And so, I was really sad to, I was really sad to see that in the news, and I could not watch the videos, but, each beating, it's heartbreaking. And I've been asking myself, what is it going to take to end? When is it going to end? When is all these murders by the police? When is racism going to end? And this is a question I've been asking for years, ever since the Rodney King beating by LA police 32 years ago. And I wrote the pamphlet, Which Way Forward for the Black Lives Matter movement, with the hope that it will be a tool to contribute to the discussions with activists and non-activists alike. So that was my motivation for writing the pamphlet.
Thank you. I was holding the pamphlet up as you said it. I'm sorry, Daniel. I didn't get you her flyer. I didn't get that flyer to post it, and I'm trying to find it to post it myself, and I can't. But if you go on Clean Green's Instagram, I will post a flyer of where the socialist, where the rally is. I'm sorry, I can't even get it out. So which way forward? I was reading in here, and it was kind of disturbing because first of all, I have yet to watch. I can't watch the video of Tyree. I have not watched the video of George Floyd. The pictures alone was enough. And I'm to the point too where enough is enough. And in your book, in 2021, it showed that 3 people a day were being killed by the police.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
It is, and that's one of the things when I was writing this pamphlet that I discovered it, the mapping for police violence. It's these independent activists that decided to start taking stats of police violence, and which had never been, kept track of. And I was floored when it was three a day that were killed by the police, which is a lot. And it continues even now. Like even in the middle of George Floyd's trial of, or the trial of the police officers that killed George Floyd, there was a killing nearby. I mean, it's just, it's got to end. And it does anger me. And I'm continue to be angry, but I want to turn that anger into doing something, like building a movement,
Yeah. If you're just tuning in, you're tuning into Clean Greens Living Live, broadcasted on Rainier Avenue Radio. I am your host, Queen Bree, and we have our special guest, Christina Lopez, who was with the Freedom Socialist Party. She's unable to turn on her camera, but she's on the phone giving us great information about an event coming up, Words in Action, the Freedom Socialist Party, which is February 11th at 7 p.m. Christina, can we tell the guests where they can go to join you guys for this event?
Yeah, we're right here in Columbia City neighborhood at New Freeway Hall, 5018 Rainier Avenue South. And the event is going to be Saturday, February 11th at 7 p.m. Please check us out. You can also find the event on thank you for posting it on Instagram. And, you can also check us out at the socialism.com under activities.
So in your book, I keep saying book, you're going to write a book one day because it just keeps coming out of my mouth. There are two things. In your book, you talk about Black Lives Matter and the movement and the leadership of Black Lives Matter. So what is the call to action on how we can move forward as a group of people to do this call to work together as a community to stop police brutality?
Yeah, I think it's for me, it's staying in the struggle, until we win. Keep that eyes on the prize, but it also means like looking at the strategies and tactics for moving the movement forward. Because one of the things that I look at in the pamphlet is I look at the movement overall, and it's not just the Black movement, but you see the other movements that are directed towards a reformist, more bourgeois direction, which will lead you to nowhere. It'll stagnate the movement if you just say, "Oh, we just gotta elect this person, or we gotta elect this person, or we gotta just do this or that policy." Reforms are sometimes needed because they help people survive. Mm-hmm. But we gotta go beyond that. We gotta go beyond what they're saying, like body cameras, sensitivity training, mental health workers, which I think will actually benefit if they use mental health workers instead of police. But we got to do a lot more. And one of the solutions that we call for is for an independent elected civilian review board that's independent of the mayor or the city council, but one that looks at how the police is run and then have a power to fire police who are misconduct, and also subpoena, and have the power to really rein in the police, because right now the police aren't being reined in. The community needs to come and have control over the police instead of the other way around, and that's why we call an elected civilian review board. And so that's going beyond reforms, like sensitivity training, whatever. I also think that we can, come together, because there's a lot of political, disagreements. There's a lot of agreements, and when we work together, we can work those out where we can work as in one direction, so we can really start turning things around in this country. Through debate and working together, collaboration. And it's not, I think that would be best for, all the ills that are happening right now, not only with the racism, the brutal violence against Black people, the mass incarceration, also the environment and the attacks on women. If we can, just work on one accord, I think we'll move this movement forward. But that's what the pamphlet, though, just focus on the Black movement and the leadership, the key role. If you look at where the most vibrant militant leadership is coming from, it's coming from the youth, the Black workers, right? The youth, the LGBTQ, and those are the leaders. Those are the leaders that are going to move the movement forward, and they're the ones that deserve our support, not the mainstream going to take all this money and find a foundation. It's the ones that are saying, hey, we're not going to take it anymore. Those are the leadership that I mentioned in my book that we should support, or in my pamphlet.
Yeah, right. Sorry, I have you calling it a book now. You talked a lot. Well, I read the book, but I didn't read the whole thing. So guys, I'm just lightly quoting some of the things out of her book. You have to get the pamphlet, and we'll talk about where they can get it in a second. But you talk about in the pamphlet the movements, and the movements, they go strong and then they kind of die out, and then they go strong and then they kind of die out. How do we keep the momentum going? How do you keep people, like you said, we see this happening over and over again. After George Floyd, shortly after something happened. Before that, things were happening. Trayvon Martin happened, then Mike Brown happened, and it's just like, and now we're talking about Kyrie, right? Is it Tyree or Kyrie? Tyree. We're getting so desensitized from this. How do we keep the momentum going and and I know you can't answer for everybody, but what is your thoughts on how we can keep the momentum going and keep up the good fight? And how are ways that we can show up for these teens, these youth, the LGBTQ, the women, the Black women who are doing these movements, who are standing strong and keeping up the fight?
That's a good question. I mean, because it does it does go forward, and then it stagnates, it goes forward. And one of the things I look in the pamphlet is what stagnates it is, putting out all that militant energy that you saw in the streets in 2020, and even now that people are still protesting, it gets muted by, movement leaders that say, hey, let's go vote for this person. Or they bring in an elected leader saying, hey, you can stop your actions now. I'm going to solve everything for you in Capitol Hill. And we got to educate us in the left, or us that are radical need to educate, hey, that's very short end. It'll be a roadblock. We got to build, ignore these elected officials, ignore these leaders, and say, what you're calling for is what we need to support. Like, that's why I talk a lot in the pamphlet about that, the leadership of Black workers, youth, and the left working together to support the revolutionary leadership of Black radicals. And you look at what they're asking for and what are their demands, and those are the ones that we can get behind, especially like reparations. The Comrades of Color Caucus also discussed doing a pamphlet of the Freedom Socialist Party. We discussed doing a pamphlet on reparations, because that is a strong call right now in the Black movement, and we should all get behind that. We should all get behind that because, with the slavery and the violent racism for generations and generations, like I heard, before this show, it's robbed people. It's robbed Black people, and that's why we gotta, support. I don't think there's enough money for them to repair what they've done generation after generation to Black people. But heck, it's worth fighting for. And I think that when we look at that too, what is the needs of the most oppressed, you're going to find that we don't care about your reforms. You go fight for your reforms. We're going to continue pushing this movement to a revolutionary movement.
Okay, I have a question. So when we were talking about ways to keep it going, and we mentioned voting, so I just want to clarify that when you say vote, we should still vote, but make sure that we're holding them accountable even after the vote? Or are you saying voting, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, are you saying voting doesn't matter at all?
Oh, you know what? Voting actually matters. I mean, you look at Fannie Lou Hamer. She's one of my heroes who fought for Black people to vote, and they're still being undermined. There's still voter suppression going on. So I'm going to support voting. One of the things I've done, first things I've done as an activist, is go register people to vote. But at the same time, I think that we deserve a lot better than we got from the Democrats and the Republicans. Excuse me. We need elected officials that can, really represent us and not sell us out when they get elected. And that also means pushing. I will write letters to our elected officials. I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat, but I'm going to do a lot more than that. And for us, the other thing, since I gave up on the Democrats a long time ago, I now vote for socialists or anyone that's going to say capitalism is the problem and here's my anti-capitalist program. And then not only that, but like you said, just because you're elected doesn't mean I'm done. I'm still going to, hey, you said you're going to represent us here.
Right.
That's always important because when we don't hold those elected officials accountable, it's also stagnates the movement. And you know what, the good thing now, and I think this is with George Floyd, even though they have elected these, really progressive elected leaders, they're still, the most militant grassroots activists are still, calling them on there whenever they don't, meet our demands. They get criticized, like, why are you voting for this military bill? And I think that's good. That's healthy.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to make sure, I don't want to give anybody room to say anything, fill in the gaps of anything that what we're speaking about today. So you guys are doing this movement, you're having this rally. Where can people support and come get your pamphlet? And the pamphlet, not just your pamphlet, I didn't hold up the Revolutionary Call for Black Reparations.
Mhm.
So where can people, there we go. Where can people buy these pamphlets at? I know that they're $5.50. $5.50. You guys, it's not that much to read to get information. We should always educate ourselves. Please get these pamphlets. But where can we get them from, Christina?
Yeah, we can get them from the Red Letter Press website, redletterpress.org. And believe it or not, they're available on Amazon. So if you have an Amazon account, you can get them there. But the best way, in my opinion, is to come down to Columbia City, New Freeway Hall. We have the pamphlets there in person. You can, talk to anyone there and they'll gladly show you the pamphlets. And, we're also looking for, you talk about building a movement, is that we got to build our cadre. So, if you come down to New Freeway Hall, I'm going to encourage you to get involved. Come down. We always look for volunteers or check us out.
Great, because I was going to ask, how can we support you all? So come down, sign up. They can donate. Is there a place to donate?
Yeah, you can go to the socialism.com website, and there's like a PayPal link where you can donate. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Do you guys have any other upcoming events that are happening that we should keep an eye out, or just go? Do you guys have a social media also for us to follow?
Well, I think we have a Twitter and a Facebook account, so we're on Facebook. That's where the event is also posted on Facebook. So just look up Seattle Freedom Socialist Party, and you'll see the link to the event. Also, your Instagram, that's pretty cool. And you can also call us at 206-722-2453, and someone is always there to pick up, and they can answer your questions and more about the event.
Okay, one last question before we head out of here. We want to keep this momentum going. We want to learn how to work together. For those who aren't sure where to start or where to get information, where could they go? Hold on, we have some. Karen said, I visited New Freedom Bookstore and have my team. Where or how effective? Wait, I'm sorry. Let me read this. Look, my eyes are getting older. I turned 40 and I can't read anymore. Hi, Queen Bree and Miss Lopez. Wonderful show today. Thank you. I visited New Freedom Hall Bookstore and have taken my team. Where is the Seattle Community Police Commission?
I know that they have Seattle Police Commission for Accountability. They had one that was in-house, and then they had another one when they a few years ago. And the reason I think that they weren't given any power to fire the police or even set policy for the police, like you're not going to work overtime, or you're not going to harass these protesters, or or use tactics, determine who's going to get armed. Maybe disarming the police is a policy we can think about. Where a lot of those, it turned out in the news that some of those police officers went to the January 6th insurrection. Like, who's making the hiring decisions for these police officers, and why are they getting a lot of overtime? Stuff like that. That if we had an elected civilian review board, we can somehow counter the city and the people they hire and their policies. Because let's face it, they're doing a really bad job of policing, not only here in Seattle, but all over the world. So to me, it's logically that we have to take control over the police. And the only way to do that is to have an independent elected civilian review board.
Well, Christina, our time is up. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to have you back because I have thousands of more questions, and that just opened up more question after question. And I know you don't have all the answers, but you have some, and you're very informative.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. Don't forget to join Words to Action, the Freedom Socialist Party, Saturday, February 11th, 7 p.m. Thank you for joining Clean Greens Living, broadcasted on Rainier Avenue Radio.